think his name's Ted Yoho. He's a Congress representative, and he had called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez the B word. And when he called her the B word, she made a big deal about it. And apparently he did this in front of reporters and everybody. So lots of people heard it. Like he was heard by this was not secret. Like he didn't whisper it. But as he walked by her, they get into a small tiff. They get into a small argument real quick. She was apparently very self-controlled the entire time and was being, the bigger man about the whole thing. And this guy was not. And so she goes to Congress to talk about how disrespectful he was. And the entire idea behind everything that she says here sounds ridiculous to me.
Madam Speaker, I seek recognition for a question of personal privilege.
The chair has been made aware of the valid base for the gentlewoman's point of personal privilege. The gentlewoman from New York is recognized for 1 hour.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would also like to thank many of my colleagues for the opportunity to not only speak today, but for the many members from both sides of the aisle who have reached out to me in support following an incident earlier this week. About 2 days ago, I was walking up the steps of the Capitol when Representative Yoho suddenly turned a corner, and he was accompanied by Representative Roger Williams, and accosted me on the steps right here in front of our nation's Capitol. I was minding my own business, walking up the steps, and Representative Yoho put his finger in my face. He called me disgusting. He called me crazy. He called me out of my mind. And he called me dangerous. And then he took a few more steps, and after I had recognized his comments as rude, he walked away and said, "I'm rude. You're calling me rude." I took a few steps ahead, and I walked inside and cast my vote, because my constituents send me here each and every day to fight for them and to make sure that they are able to keep a roof over their head, that they're able to feed their families, and that they're able to carry their lives with dignity. I walked back out, and there were reporters in the front of the Capitol, and in front of reporters, Representative Yoho called me, and I quote, "a fucking bitch."
Oh, okay. So I got this. I got the speed turned up a little bit here, but I'm not going to say that it's okay to call anyone these words. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I don't cuss on my show. I don't cuss on other people's shows. When I go on the Dog and Chicken show, actually, after a while, without me even mentioning it, they noticed and brought it up, and it seems fairly obvious to a lot of people that I just don't cuss. I don't do it, not in my personal life, not on my show. I don't do it. And so I don't endorse Yoho calling her the B word. I'm not a fan of it, and it's definitely not good for our leaders in politics or for, in Congress to be talking to each other in this way, for sure. Like that, I think we can all agree there. Okay.
These are the words that Representative Yoho levied against a congresswoman, the congresswoman that not only represents New York's 14th congressional district, but every congresswoman and every woman in this country, because all of us have had to deal with this in some form, some way, some shape, at some point in our lives. And I want to be clear that Representative Yoho's comments were not deeply hurtful or piercing to me, because I have worked a working class job. I have waited tables in restaurants. I have ridden the subway. I have walked the streets in New York City. And this kind of language is not new. I have encountered words uttered by Mr. Yoho and men uttering the same words as Mr. Yoho while I was being harassed in restaurants. I have tossed men out of bars that have used language like Mr. Yoho's. And I have encountered this type of harassment riding the subway in New York City.
Yeah. So that's where a lot of my take is going to go is, dude, we all literally get talked to like this all the time. Like, all of my friends talk like this. They call everybody the B word. They say all sorts of stuff that, like, you wouldn't think. Like I'm just saying, people in their daily lives, like, we all hear this stuff all the time, especially at work. Like, the guy who I was working with today, I've never worked with him before. I swear he said the F word like every 5 seconds, and half the time he wasn't even saying anything. He would just yell the F word out of nowhere. Like, just, he like, some people literally, this is, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand cussing much at all. It doesn't make much sense to me, but I don't get like super offended by it. But again, it's unprofessional. So we'll continue.
This is not new. And that is the problem. Mr. Yoho was not alone. He was walking shoulder to shoulder with Representative Roger Williams. And that's when we start to see that this issue is not about one incident. It is cultural. It is a culture of lack of impunity, of accepting of violence and violent language against women, and an entire structure of power that supports that. Because not only have I been spoken to disrespectfully, particularly by members of the Republican Party and elected officials in the Republican Party, not just here, but the President of the United States last year told me to go home to another country, with the implication that I don't even belong in America. The governor of Florida, Governor DeSantis, before I even was sworn in, called me a whatever that is. Dehumanizing language is not new. And what we are seeing is that incidents like these are happening in a pattern. This is a pattern of an attitude towards women and dehumanization of others. So while I was not deeply hurt or offended by little comments that are made, when I was reflecting on this, I honestly thought that I was just gonna pack it up and go home. It's just another day, right? But then yesterday, Representative Yoho decided to come to the floor of the House of Representatives and make excuses for his behavior. And that I could not let go. I could not allow my nieces, I could not allow the little girls that I go home to, I could not allow victims of verbal abuse and worse to see that excuse.
So his apology was definitely a non-apology. Like, he pretty much said, like, hey, you know, I shouldn't have done this, and I shouldn't have said those things, but just so you all know, I didn't do that, and I didn't say those things. So, like, it was for sure a non-apology. Definitely. I will give her that. He definitely did not apologize very well, if at all. Yeah, he didn't do such a good job.
And to see our Congress accept it as legitimate and accept it as an apology, and to accept silence as a form of acceptance. I could not allow that to stand, which is why I'm rising today to raise.
So she wouldn't have said anything. This is the first time I've seen most of this. Like, I heard about this, and so I saw clips, and this is the first time I'm watching the full thing. It makes absolutely no sense for her to be like, look, people call me the B word all the time. I don't care. I just brush it off my shoulders. It doesn't bother me at all. I went home, didn't think about it again. No big deal. But then she's like, but then when he didn't apologize and he pretended to apologize, that's when I couldn't have that. I couldn't let my nieces and nephews see something like that. Somebody can call me an F and B word all day, every day. No big deal. But someone pretends to apologize? No. I am not having that. This doesn't make any sense. How is that worse?
This point of personal privilege. And I do not need Representative Yoho to apologize to me. Clearly, he does not want to.
What do you mean? The entire reason you're up here is because you're upset that he didn't apologize right. That's the whole reason you're giving this speech, is because he didn't apologize right. What do you mean you don't need him to apologize? You said you don't care that he called you the B word. You already said this. You said you don't care. Maybe she explains it. I doubt it. This is already not making any sense. I don't care that he called me the B word. The only reason I'm up here is because he didn't apologize right. But on top of that, I don't need him to apologize. I don't care if he apologizes. I'm so lost.
Clearly, when given the opportunity, he will not. And I will not stay up late at night waiting for an apology from a man who has no remorse over calling women and using abusive language towards women. But what I do have issue with is using women, our wives and daughters, as shields and excuses for poor behavior. Mr. Yoho mentioned that he has a wife and 2 daughters. I am 2 years younger than Mr. Yoho's youngest daughter.
How is he? What? How is he using them as? How is he using them as shields for his poor behavior?
I am someone's daughter too. My father, thankfully, is not alive to see how Mr. Yoho treated his daughter. My mother got to see Mr. Yoho's disrespect on the floor of this house towards me on television. And I am here because I have to show my parents that I am their daughter. And
that's why she's here. Okay, so yes, it has nothing to do with anything that Mr. Yoho said. It all makes sense now. She's here to let her mom know that she's her daughter. This is like a Maury thing. You are the mother. Did she bring test results? I hope she brought test results, because her mom is probably, that woman is probably like, you ain't my daughter. I wrapped it up.
And that they did not raise me to accept abuse from men. Now, what I am here to say is that this harm that Mr. Yoho tried to levy against me, was not just an incident directed at me. But when you do that to any woman, what Mr. Yoho did was give permission to other men to do that to his daughters.
I feel like she said 4 times now, the reason I'm here, though. I think she said that 4 times now. The reason I'm here, though. And then she goes, like, all 4 things are something different. All 4 times she said something completely different for why she's here, though. And the reason this time is to give people permission to talk to people's daughters poorly. Isn't that, let me hear that one more time.
Mr. Yoho did was give permission to other men to do that to his daughters.
What? So, I mean, I don't think that he's giving permission, though. I do think it would be a little bit hypocritical if he got upset that somebody called his daughter an effing B word. Yeah, like that would be hypocritical. I don't know that he's giving people permission, but it's saying like he's probably not going to go beat them up. I mean, is AOC saying that if he hadn't called her an F and B word, that he should go beat up these guys otherwise? Assuming that it's guys, women talk like this all the time too. I mean, I don't think this is specific to men, but okay.
He gave, in using that language in front of the press, he gave permission to use that language against his wife, his daughters, women in his community. And I am here to stand up to say that is not acceptable. I do not care what your views are.
Wait, no, hold on. Whoa. She said she didn't care about the language. She said she didn't care about that stuff, that people say that stuff all the time, no matter who you are or where you're at. She's already said these things don't hurt her feelings. Okay. But now she's saying it's unacceptable if people do say these things. She doesn't care, but it's still unacceptable. And that is why she's really here, though.
It does not matter how much I disagree or how much it incenses me or how much I feel that people are dehumanizing others. I will not do that myself. I will not allow people to change and create hatred in our hearts. And so what I believe is that
Create hatred in our hearts. You said you didn't care. You already said you don't care. Did he create hatred in your heart, AOC? I feel like you care a little bit more than you're letting on. Is that sexist of me to say? I don't know. Maybe I'm giving everybody else permission to tell my mom that she cares more than she's letting on.
having a daughter does not make a man decent. Having a wife does not make a decent man. Treating people with dignity and respect makes a decent man. And when a decent man messes up, as we all are bound to do, he tries his best and does apologize. Not to save face, not to win a vote. He apologizes genuinely to repair and acknowledge the harm done. So that
wait. No. You already said you don't care if he apologizes, though. I feel like you completely just backtracked on all of that. You already said, I don't care if he apologizes. Now, you sound like you care, though. I don't know. Maybe all this will make sense in the end. Maybe she'll wrap all this up and it'll make sense.
Move on. Lastly, what I want to express to Mr. Yoho is gratitude. I want to thank him for showing the world that you can be a powerful man and accost women. You can have daughters and accost women without.
I don't think anybody. Was confused about that point, though. Like, are there people out there who think, like, you know what? If you're a powerful man, though, you can't accost women. You lose that ability. You're not able to do it. Or it's against the rules. But once you're powerful, that's it. No more accosting women, guys. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe there's people out there saying this. Maybe those people exist. Maybe they do. Maybe. I mean, look, I sit on here talking to a bunch of random people in my chat all day. Okay. I probably don't know anything. AOC worked as a bartender. Okay. She knows people. She probably heard people all the time talking about once you become rich and powerful, you can no longer accost women. She's probably heard lots of people say that. I'll give that to her. She probably knows more than I do on that one.
Remorse. You can be married and accost women. You can take photos and project an image to the world of being a family man and accost women.
Whoa, that one got super specific. So I can't even keep up with all of this now. So you can accost women if you get married and take family photos. He gave those people permission. And if you're powerful, what was the other one? I don't remember the other one. There was a third one. So he gave 3 different types of people. The last one was really specific, though. I mean, the fact that he gave family men who take pictures permission to accost women. I don't know. I'll have to look into this. Maybe she's right.
Without remorse and with a sense of impunity. It happens every day in this country. It happened here on the steps of our nation's capital. It happens when individuals who hold the highest office in this land admit to hurting women and using this language against all of us.
Now, hold on. Why is it specifically against women, though? I mean, if he had said it to a guy, would it be any different? Like, why is it the fact that he said it to a woman? I mean, AOC, you're a progressive woman here, okay? You don't care about sex or gender. Like, we're all treated the same. You don't think that he should lay off calling a woman an effing B if he calls all the men effing Bs, right? AOC, come on. You're progressive. Equality. I think, I think we all agree on this. Call men and women effing Bs all the time. I think that, and that's why she's really here.
But once again, I thank my colleagues for joining us today. I will reserve the hour of my time, and I will yield to my colleague, Representative Jayapal of Washington. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah. That made absolutely no sense. Yeah, Eurosama said, okay, at this point, I think she's just scoring points with the hate bait to people who hate men. Yeah. Yeah. I could buy that. I could buy that. In my experience, progressives tend to call men trash a lot. Yeah. I wouldn't say progressives, but like radical feminists, for sure. Yeah, radical feminists for sure call men trash a lot there. And AOC uses a lot of that radical feminist rhetoric. Like she says a lot of that same stuff. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds a bit sexist for her to point out the fact that he said this to a woman, as if like she's any less, as if she can't defend herself because she's a woman, as if his daughters or his wife or her mother, as if these people cannot defend themselves because they're women. Nah, not buying it. Sorry, AOC, you're a sexist. I think women can defend themselves very well. I don't think they need you to stand up for them. I think we should all walk around calling all of them effing B's and C's and BLGs and WAPs and all that stuff. Women have every ability to stick up for themselves just as any man does. So, no different for a woman. Sorry, AOC, but you sexist.